Hello there, Statcherman with Statcherman Custom Holsters. I thought I would do an update to the how to attach your loops to your Statcherman Custom Holster video because we've done some updates on some of the products, added some new modular accessories. So I thought I would go ahead and do an update to that previous video because I've seen kind of some different combinations and there's been some people struggling with how to attach their loops. So I thought I'd go ahead and cover that for you here today. Starting on, I wanted to cover just the standard a couple of key items and then just the standard loop installation. This is a set of standard loops 1 3/4, and as you can see here from the back, you do have the Chicago screw, and then what you'll see is the rubber space ring or O-ring that's packed with all the standard loops, and then in the front you see the machine screw. These might be flathead or panhead depending on what revision you have. So the key here to the assembly of this is to make sure that that rubber ring is in between here. And I thought what better way to show how to put this together than to show essentially how to take this apart. So we'll just do what I'm doing here in reverse order. Ultimately, for your first one, just let gravity help you out. Place the Chicago screw with the rubber O-ring in there. Slide it in place. Line up the holes. And away you go. It's important to get the rubber lock ring in between, as the rubber lock ring is designed to create tension for the modular accessories. Now ideally you'd put some sort of thread locker, non-permanent thread locker in there to keep the screws from coming out, because they can and do come loose. But it's important to note on that if you are planning on switching out the accessories quite on a regular basis, that lock ring, and that is the proper position for the lock ring on most of the accessories. That is where it goes. Now I should note that if you do get the minimalist style loops, and these haven't been drilled yet, but it's going to be the exact same thing, except for in this case, obviously you're using a different style loop, but make sure to get that rubber lock ring in between there. Moving on to the in-waistband soft loops. Proper assembly again here is to have the rubber lock ring in between the loop and the holster. What this does is as you tighten the screw down, it spreads out, flattens out, and grabs the machine screw. So as you move and use the holster, less chance for the machine screw and the Chicago screw to come loose. That's pretty much all you need to do. Again, make sure that that lock ring is between there. So next I wanted to cover the conversion and the assembly of the Tuckable soft loops. Simply the difference between the loops, standard in-waistband soft loops, and the Tuckable loops is that they have a plate on them, gives you some space to allow you to tuck your shirt in. So a couple of things that I would note here is that the spacing between the holes is different. So depending on how you need to assemble them onto your holster, these should fit for you rather nicely. So if you do have the full size in the 5 rivet configuration, you'll notice that the whole eyelet holes line up here. Or if you have a Statcher Mini with 4, you can flip it over and go through those bottom 2. So it is possible to do either one and have 2, or obviously you can always just put 1 screw in at the bottom to get a little more movement on your attachment. But I wanted to cover the conversion process because when the soft loops are sent to you, you're going to get a 5/8 inch machine screw that's long enough to go all the way through from the front to the back on a holster. Now obviously the plate is not as long, so what will be included is a 1/2 inch machine screw that you'll want to trade out to go through here so you don't have anything poking you out the back of this. The other thing that will probably be included depending on your upgrade kit, and most of my customers are going to get these, is a couple of finishing washers. And I'll show you what the finishing washers are for here in just a second. So again, this is the proper final assembly here. Finishing washer in the front with the spacer and the Chicago screw in the back. The easiest way to do this, if you do need to do 2, if you are doing with the 2 screws, is to loosen this up. That way you can rotate this over, swing this back into place, Now here's one of those places where it's kind of up to you. It doesn't really, there's really no wrong answer as to whether or not you put these through the back or through the front. From the Chicago style screw, you know, you can put the Chicago screw, let's do this right here, through the front and run the screw through the back. You know, obviously this is going to be tucked into your shirt. Nobody's going to see it, but just something I thought I'd note. Notice that the rubber lock rings do give you the space, and you can kind of fiddle around with the tightness of one to the other to sort of tune the space up at the top here. If you tighten the bottom, leave the top looser, that's going to give you a little bit more pivot to have more space up at the top. So that's the proper assembly on the Tuckable loops. Note that there is a 5/8" screw taken out, and you put your 1/2" screw in. There's really no wrong answer depending on whether or not you need the finishing washer. If you don't have the finishing washer, this is probably the best way to do it, either with the pan head or the flathead screw. So that's your process to convert over and install your Tuckable soft loops. So next we have the assembly of the on-waistband quick loops. Now the on-waistband quick loops are one where you are going to want to use the included tube of thread locker in order to make sure that these stay on quickly. A lot of guys will order these and just run them exclusively if they have a very you know, stiff belt like an Ares belt or something like that, that the standard loops tend to be a little bit harder on, or if they're trading out between different holster types a lot. Now, going backwards from this, these are directional snaps on here. The first snap out in front is what keeps the second snap from coming loose. And then you'll notice here that there is a machine screw and the Chicago screw here, pan head, in order to hold that in. So that's the way that you want to line this up when you put it in, because this is what creates the loop here, and then you snap the first one over and then roll over the second one in order to snap it in place. So in order to assemble this, as you can see, the top eyelet has the male portion, and the next from the bottom, or next from the top, has a male portion in the front here. So that is the proper view to set up the on-waistband quick loops. There is a picture of this that shows this rather cleanly on statureman.com as well. So there are no, and the reason that I say to use the thread locker is because there is no lock rings or rubber O-rings that go in here. It's just straight on with the machine screw with the male end of the snap and the Chicago screw in this particular order. Now, one thing that you can do, and what I had this set up for, is that running from anywhere from 1.25 to 1.75, you would anchor in the bottom position. If you did want to run to 2, it is actually possible to anchor in the next eyelet down to get a 2 or even a 2 1/4" belt. So that is the proper view and assembly of the on-waistband. The last of the standard modular accessories is the Super Simple Molle Strips. Now, there is a dedicated video on the Super Simple Molle Strips. I would recommend that you take a look at that for proper, for full instructions on how to put that together. But I did want to note here, there is no, again, with the softness that you get from the soft loops, there's no need for the rubber O-rings. Just go with the Chicago screws in the back and the flat pan head screws in the front. These are designed to shift and move, but I can assure you this is just as tight as your belt is going to feel if you're running these as well. So again, that's the way that the on-waistband quick loops, and I'll try to, maybe I'll just take this bottom one apart here real quick just to give you a show on how this works. So you can see the Chicago screw down underneath there that gets attached. So that's the 2.0 version of the how to attach your modular accessories to your Stature Man holsters. I appreciate the time here, and I'll let you guys go, and I'll talk to you later.